So we're really excited to be here today. I'm Ashley Weiss, and I have my partner,
Serena Chaudhry.
Serena, and really excited today because we have a very special guest. Not only is she a musician, a mom, she's also going to be here for In My Mind, going on tour with Cold. And your final stop, I believe, or next to final stop, will be here in New Orleans with us. So we're
Yeah.
super happy to meet you before. And so welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to meet you guys in person. The show is the second to last show,
Second to last.
and it's like the perfect way to kind of round the bend. So I'm excited. It's going to be fun.
Well, first, I would just love to hear about you and how you came into your current life and things that have mattered along the way.
All right. Well, I can give you a quick slash long version of it.
Love it.
Well, I've been an artist for pretty much most of my life. I started when I was 18. I got signed to my first record deal back when that stuff happened.
Right.
Okay, so this is like the 90s. Totally different experience, nothing like it is now. But so I was in a band called Dollshead that was very cool, kind of darker, that whole thing that was going on back then, the grungier side of things and like Garbage, and it was kind of like that, but I was very young and it was the guys in the band were older. So it was a very intense experience because I was so young to be traveling, but then also I wasn't traveling with people my age. So it was like very bizarre. Then that didn't work out and I got signed on a no, Atlantic, and then Interscope as a solo artist. So I've done that kind of stuff, and I've released 4 records, maybe 5, a lot of EPs. So done this long time. Met Scooter though from Cold, probably in 1998. Doll's Head was playing a show at this place called Dragonfly that was very, very popular in the 90s. For the stories. Anyway, it was a rock club, and he saw me there, and that's how I met him initially. And he Jen Littleton, who signed his band. I don't think she signed the Gold, but she was working with the company. I think she brought him. Anyway, he liked what I was doing and asked me to sing on the second record, and sang on the second one went so well that I sang on the third record. And so we've always had I owe so much to him because he did a lot, and in the sense of very much starting my career in a way. He played a big part of that. So this like is particularly really fun that we're going to do this tour because it's kind of like going down memory lane, but also recreating something completely new. And I'm excited to do the show as like almost like, even though I'll be playing, I'm gonna not really. It's just I know how cool it's gonna be.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be performing, but I'm gonna be watching from like above because it's gonna be a really cool experience. And I also forgot to mention I come from a musical family. My father's name is Billy Swan. He was Chris Christopherson's right kind of, well, one of Chris Christopherson's best friend, but he was in his band for years and years and years and years. And so when I was a kid, I used to go on tour with my dad. And so music is very much, it's always been in my life, and it's always been something how my family accepts handling problems. I got really lucky when in the sense that I came from a creative family, so me being creative wasn't a strange thing. So I got a lot of freedom out of that. And my sister is also a musician. Her name's Planet. So her name's
Okay.
Planet Swan. So you can get the sense of my
Yeah.
parents just by the fact that my name's Sierra Swan, which now everyone's name is Sierra, but no one is named Planet.
Mhm.
Nobody at all. So that's on her birth certificate, Planet
Oh,
Swan.
I appreciate that you mentioned that your family uses music to solve problems. And I was wondering
Yeah.
if you could tell us a little bit more.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, being a little Sierra was, whenever a conversation with all my conversations with my father was about music. I mean, he used to, as soon as he could tell that I liked music, I'm sure he was thrilled, but he really nurtured it. I used to get a CD. I used to get a Beatles CD every week, which was basically like, listen to this. It was like my homework, you know. When he could tell that I started liking Patsy Cline, who's like one of my favorite vocalists of all time, he like got me one like every single Patsy Cline CD. Like it was really nourished. It was so nourished, and my mom was a wild spirit. She was also an artist, but she was more like the muse of the household. Do you know what I mean? Like, she was the ethereal figure kind of walking around, if that makes any sense. And my dad
Yeah.
was just like, and my dad was like the like, "Oh, you like that? Well, then you better listen to this." So, and that also has what meant a lot to me because he sensed my gentility and he sensed that I needed that as well. Not just because I liked it, it was gonna help me, you know, on whatever path I was going on. So he nurtured it. He really nurtured it, and so did my mom, very much so. Her her vibe was a little bit more hardcore. It's weird. It's like I say ethereal, but she was also kind of punk. So you can be both of those things, by the way. You can be
Yes.
ethereal and kind of punk rock. Um, yeah, and my dad was like, you know, he made money doing music. So it was just like as far as they're concerned, you know, if you take it seriously, not only is it good for the soul, but it could be good for your pocket. Now, a little bit more difficult. It's a lot more difficult now to make music and make money. So, but, you know, got to be creative.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally. And I asked that question in particular because a lot of the patients at our clinic use art and
Sure.
songwriting and playing to address problems, solve problems, process problems.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so I love the fact that you bring that experience and that appreciation to this tour, and you're
Uh-huh.
going to be there for our patients in our community in New Orleans to listen to, and then you're going to also be able to listen to them.
I guess when we're first meeting people and typically they're the worst moment of their life, and these are, usually 16 to 25-year-olds and like life was ahead, college is ahead, all of these things, and it kind of gets derailed briefly while feeling better. And put all of that stuff on the back burner because the psychological recovery kind of takes like front and center. But it's really inspiring to you sort of get to know them over time and see its way back into how they identify seeing professionals and, like, seeing professionals in this world is also a really lovely thing to bring to for them to meet you.
Oh, and also it's like when certain what I can't express enough about artistry and creativity coming from a very emotional place is it's a journey. And sometimes I think younger kids who um being young is traumatizing in general, you know, it's like but you know, people who are having a hard time kind of, and you have like a hope and a dream, especially for an artist, and you know, wanting to quote unquote make it, and that could be there's a lot of different ways to make it, you know what I mean? But sometimes when you see someone doing it from a stage, it looks so like unavailable,
Mhm,
like as and not just anybody, when someone's doing it well,
mhm.
like when someone is doing it like that's wow, how are they doing that? What a lot of times you don't realize is how long it takes to get there, and that it is very much possible for absolutely everyone. Everyone absolutely can do it, but it takes a lot of falling down and getting up, falling down, getting up, being slammed down and not being able to get up maybe for a year, but you still get right back up. That's the only reason I always think like any time someone sees like a star or someone that like is doing they're glittering, I really do feel like because they have walked through fire.
Mhm.
There's a reason why people that you are gravitating to certain kind of voice or gravitating to a certain kind of music or something does really well. I mean, sure, there's a lot of crap out there too, but I'm just saying like you know like the but real rock stars, you know, which there's a difference, you know, there's a
Right.
difference. They've walked through fire. So it's so important for young kids who are challenged in any way to look at that and touch it and ask it questions. And
For
yeah.
sure, and we were lucky we had, Lindsay Manfredi from Cold on, the
Oh, I love
podcast,
her. She's so genuinely sweet.
yeah,
Right.
and that came across so authentically in the podcast, and she told her story of becoming
Yeah.
a musician and teaching herself,
Hmm.
to play and the hard journey that it was, so I and it can seem really inaccessible when you've already walked through fire
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
and you're needing to do it
And
again.
that's just not music, and that's just not artists. That's like who knows, you can meet a therapist, and they're like the best therapist ever because, well, there's a reason, or the best doctor. Could be anybody. It's just
For sure.
musicians get all the lights and stuff, that's the
Um,
only difference.
Yeah, I get all the complaints.
Yeah, you get all the That's not fair.
You know, one of having and, like, witnessing people recovering from psychosis where it's so like, you can't they feel like they can't tell people what's going on because it's too much, it's too unusual, it's too bizarre, people are gonna think I'm weird, people are gonna think I'm crazy. I remember feeling like people are gonna think I'm crazy because all I liked to wear was black, but to, like, amplify that was by a million. So then they'll sort of come, when they're getting better, be like, "Oh gosh, like, it's gonna be so hard to go do this." I remember one of our mutual patients, Serena, she does, like, spoken word and stuff. Like, "How will I ever go and do this in front of somebody again?" And I was like, You're in recovery from schizoaffective disorder. I think that you met your match,
Hmm.
that you'll be fine. Like, you're a warrior, and just go take your warrior ways to stage."
right, and share that with others.
Totally.
So, a huge part of the work we do with our clinic is education around psychosis in an attempt to destigmatize it. And stigma lives large in our society, it lives large in the South. And I'm curious what stigma you run up against, if any, in the music industry, stigma around mental illness.
Oh God, are you kidding me? I'm a woman who writes all of my own music.
Right.
I mean, ever since I was a kid, just a lot of the most common thing I think when somebody is, it's either, I don't know how to describe it, just trying to be themselves, 100% themselves. There's a lot of gaslighting in that. I don't, sometimes when I mean, I personally came across a lot of, and it's not even bullying. It's just a lot of like, especially when you're young, you don't know what you're talking about kind of stuff, brushing people aside. And that, I mean, that kind of followed me until I was really 40. Do you know what I mean? Like it took a while for me to kind of like snap out and be like, wait a minute, why am I allowing people to make me feel weird about like my instincts? Like, do you know what I mean? I know they're right. And why am I allowing that? And then there was just a hard stop and I just became exactly who I was unapologetically. But it took me a long time to do that. And mostly the people that I came across that made me feel less had a lot of clout or money, perhaps. I don't know how does that sound weird? But they had a lot going for them.
Power.
They had a lot
Yeah,
of power. That's a
right.
better way to put it. They had a lot of power. But then, a lot of times when we're around certain people, we forget why they're with us. Why are they hanging out with me? I think that's something to remind ourselves when we're feel like we are have to hide ourselves in front of maybe certain kinds of people is, well, these people want to hang out with you for a reason as well. Like you obviously, sorry, I didn't turn off my notifications. It's my fault. You tend to, yeah, hide yourself, and it took me a long time to just stop doing that. I don't, because I did know I had a lot to offer, and I had no idea why I was, I don't know, not I was always going 80%, never 100.
Mhm.
And 80% is a lot. I feel like a lot of people operate on 80%,
Mhm.
and not 100, because 80% looks good enough. But, we could all go a little harder
Mhm.
being ourselves, and being in an industry that definitely, ironically, like, that's actually what you're supposed to be doing, doesn't want you to do that.
Right, well, if you're in that's like such a mixed message
It's
from
a
being
real yeah, it's
Mhm,
a real mixed bag. That's the only reason why I like what's going on right now, because you can be an independent artist and really get to do what you want. But
mhm.
it's also a lot of work. It's a lot of work. You have to be willing to do the work. Like, you have to make something that's very difficult look kind of easy,
Mhm.
you know, which is sometimes 100%. That's your 100%. I don't know if that any of that made sense, but
Yeah, it totally makes sense, and I agree with Ashley. It's super sad to think about in 2025 that women
mhm,
still have to fight
mhm.
to
To be
be
seen.
seen
Yeah,
in the music industry where I'm gonna
yeah.
offer that women dominate. So not but and I'm gonna ask, so there's stigma around that. I'm curious about mental illness and to what extent you think there is an open dialogue around mental health, mental illness in the music industry, and to what
Oh.
extent you think it's stigmatized.
I think it does exist. You make your own community kind of now, more so
Mhm.
in the industry, and I, social media has kind of, it's like good and bad, in the sense there's a lot of people that are not so great for your mental health that just can pop in wherever you'd like them to comment on whatever they think about you. But there are a lot of safe spaces too. Um, Definitely, I would say no if it was 20 years ago. Absolutely not. I don't. I think it was very not a very safe place, mental illness at all, in that way it was existed back then. I think it's probably a lot safer now. It's weird how life works, where as left as people go, they go just as far right. Like, there's kind of, well, I would just say 20 years there wasn't. Now there is, but you just have to be more careful. I guess, like, in a way, because there's more people looking at you. Do you know what I mean?
I think about so many people that die by suicide,
Yeah.
like, I know that, like, I mean, Scooter shares his stories of people, during those songs, but I guess how was that? Because that was a while back
Mhm.
when sort of felt like every year
Mhm.
some rock musician was
Oh, it
dead.
was, yeah, 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 it was, there was some very, very dark times back then. There was also, you know, unfortunately, certain drugs were
Mhm.
Mhm,
I certainly know that drugs was a lot more almost available back then, where it was actually, it was not that as frowned upon. It wasn't frowned upon back then.
mhm.
Now, I mean, I have a son. I have a 15-year-old son, and this generation is so different. Like, they don't experiment like I feel like I experimented. You know what I mean? And I mean, either I'm like, he's the best little actor in town, or like, that's, but I find that to be true, and I talk to other parents about this. Um, yeah, it was darker back then. It was a little bit of a darker time, and it's certain in music.
Why do you think that was?
Like I think I said before, I think it was a little bit more glorified.
Okay.
Like,
Mhm.
I don't think it was frowned upon as much. I mean, I had friends, I went to an all-girl Catholic school, and, um, there were more drugs going on there than there are probably in public schools now. I don't know. It's just like, it was yeah, I don't know why that was, because in a
Yeah,
way, the '90s, if you look at comparatively where we are now, the '90s, we had a lot more, I mean, it was a lot less stressful in a certain kind of
Yeah.
way. I feel like, I mean, the phone does not help. That's one thing I really am concerned with about young people and mental illness and mental health and all that, is the phones. Like, I can't imagine being 15 or 16 and, like, seeing, like, the tragic events just nonstop on your phone. Like, that worries me a lot. I think about that a lot.
Yeah. For sure. I have a 16-year-old as well, and I
Yeah,
think you've spoken many truths
yeah,
in the challenges of the phone of having the phone, and also just the way in which kids operate now being so different than before, and I think
yeah,
in some ways, circling back to a point you made about eyes always being on people through
yeah.
social media, I think
And you never
that
know who it is. You don't know who's
Mhm.
watching. It's just like it's wild. It's really wild.
Yeah, that is a thinking about it like that is it's really bizarre. Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't know who this is.
Mhm. Mhm.
People are, and
I
they're
know.
you. So I would like to hear a little bit about, not that it's like spoiler alerts, but what are some of the what are you feeling in particularly excited about with this tour? I mean, because it's you guys have known each other for a long time. There's like a musical journey on both sides, and um, like sneak peek of like the common thread.
The
um,
common thread? Well, I have to say, there's certain people that you meet in your life that you don't know what it is or why it is, but you just connect with them. And I've met so many artists and musicians doing this as long as I have, and they're all lovely. But there really isn't. I haven't met many like Scooter, and also the cool part about the two of us, I think we've always been very connected musically as far as what we both liked. I mean, we used to sit and listen to music for hours and hours and hours together. I mean, I cannot tell you. He took me to my first Rush concert. Like he was like I knew a ton about music and so did he, and we shared so much music together, like, which those are people are so important in your life. We know that. People who like turn you on to music is just like those people matter. Um and also we had the experience of this music business being as wild as it is. Um we have a connected understanding of theatrics and music, um, we like the same stuff. Like, you know what I mean? And that's a rare quality. So we always have lined up on like every level. We've always lined up. So there's something, I think this is super special, like I said in the beginning, because I don't think we imagined we would ever do something like this.
mhm,
But and I'll tell you how it, because I'll tell you how it even happened. I always, every time they're in Minneapolis or anytime they were in LA when I lived in LA, I always go and do the songs that I would,
mhm.
did on those records. And so, we've kind of done that forever. But it finally came to a point, and then I had him sing on one of my songs, a song called You Got Away on one of my albums, and people, that's like their favorite song. Um, which is fine. Love that. Good. I mean, thanks. Thanks for liking anything. That's wonderful. Um, and of course, Scooter was the featured guest vocalist on that. But I had called him. This is like I remember where I was. Speaking of Tool, which is just funny because my best friend's Karina Round from Pussifer,
Mhm.
and I was with her, and I had gone to a Pussifer show, and then I came and I don't know, I was staying at her hotel or something, and she was doing something, and um, I had I had text Scooter like days before that about possibly like opening up for Cold at some point because I'm working on a new project. And he was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool, Swan." And he's like, "I kind of think I got maybe something cooler." And I was like, "Okay, what's that?" And what would that be? And he was like, "We're doing this winery tour, and it's going to be like a little bit more like not acoustic, but a little bit more chill. And why don't you come on, play some piano and like do some vocals and all that stuff?" And I was just like, "Yeah, actually, why not? That would be incredible." And he, maybe he thought I was going to say no. I don't know. Of course, I was going to say yes. And now that it's happening, we're both getting like more and more excited because we're realizing like how cool it actually will be. Do you like what's when you say yes to something, you're like, yeah, I could see that. And then now that it's going to be fully realized and we have to do it, it's happening. Like it's not
Right.
happening. You start to like imagine what it could be in your brain and you're like, "Ooh, this is going to be rad." Like this is going to be cool. As I'm rehearsing, I've got my basement kind of all set up, like my keyboard and my notebooks and everything, and going through over like what would be cool like vocally and doing stuff. And I'm just like, "Ooh, this is going to be." So it's gonna be awesome because there's so much history, there, and it's just I don't know, it's kind of a real candle on top of the cake show.
Mhm.
I do think so.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be really cool.
And
It's gonna be really cool.
the guys from University Drive are probably just, like, over the top freaking out. How cool this is.
I know, and they are so sweet.
They
I
are.
love them so
Ugh.
much. They're all so genuinely kind, like, I mean, back at like, I don't know, it's just I used to go on tours in the 90s, early 2000s. Maybe it's because 'cause I'm older and they're like, people are just nicer because I'm, like, not in my 20s anymore. But, yeah, I felt like the energy in tours, like, in my 20s was just, like, everybody was so, like, miserable on the bus, miserable here, miserable there. People are much happier to be on the road these days, that's all I'm saying, is, like, I just notice they're the sweetest guys.
Remember which one, but he was like, "I'm just, like, get to learn all the time." It's like,
Yeah, no, that's
I'm just
true.
here, get to do this cool thing, and then I'm, like, learning.
Yeah, yeah, well, there's no better learning than doing a tour because it's like day in day out, and every show is an opportunity to make it better. That's why the show that you guys are going to get is going to be amazing because
Second to
it's go-
last.
yeah, it's the second to last show and it's going to be, oh, you guys are probably going to get the best one,
I know.
actually.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Oh,
amazing.
just listening to you talk about it makes me so excited.
Oh, it's going to be I think magical is a good word. It's
Yeah,
going to be magical.
totally
We like
magical.
magic.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's very moving night already because it's kind of for
Good.
Serena and I, it's our 10-year anniversary of our clinic. We started the clinic 10 years ago.
Congratulations, that's incredible.
Thank you.
That's a big accomplishment. That's huge.
So,
That's
yeah,
huge.
and then having, like, my favorite band in the world there.
Oh, that's so amazing.
I know. So I think
Oh
I'm
my
gonna
god.
retire. It's like my best friend in the world. We've started this clinic, help people. My
Ama
favorite band is coming for our for our
Oh my
benefit.
god.
We're done.
I'm excited for this night. This is gonna
Aw,
be incredible.
super
That's
special.
beautiful. Oh, I'm gonna bring it for you guys that night. I promise. I
Okay.
promise.
Thank
Of
you. Thank you for
course.
coming on. Thank you for talking to us and
Oh my god,
sharing
my honor, my privilege. I can't wait to meet you
your
girls in
journey.
person.
Yeah,
Ladies.
the next
Ladies.
Ladies.
the next, chit chat can be how to parent teenagers.
That I'm in for that one. I could use all the advice. It's nice and confusing. Well, thanks for having me. I really, really enjoyed this.
Yeah, well, we will see you on November 7th,
Yes, you
and
will.
everybody in New Orleans should be there for November 7th.
We'll definitely at that point have so much like great road footage and great show footage. Like, yeah. And then, give people
Yeah.
a little twinkle of what to expect.
Oh, that's true, yeah, that'll be
Yeah.
great.
So it will be nice and built by that point.
And I can be really dramatic and totally say, "This night won't ever happen again."
Oh, that's
For
see,
sure.
that's like a heartbreak and also exciting at the same time.
Mhm.
Right.
It makes it even more magical.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I can't wait.
Okay, well, so nice to meet you.
It was nice to meet you
Thank
too.
you, Sierra
Your
Swan.
glasses too.
See you guys in a little bit.